There we go.
Can you see me?
Oh, you look just like your photograph that I have.
Hello,
Hi.
New Zealand.
Yes, yes, we are currently in your future and it's a beautiful day.
Thank you. Thank you, Aunt Angela, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's really lovely to actually connect to talk to you for an hour, which I haven't been able to do before. I know we've connected before, but to actually get to speak to you for all this time, I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, thank you. Thank
Yay,
you very much.
yay,
Thank you
yay.
very much.
Cool. I'm going to do a brief introduction just to anyone who is wondering, who we are and why we're here. So I'm Angela Murray from Living Life in Colour, and I call myself a creative adventurer and guide. And my absolute passion is to help those wannabe artists um, use creativity to change their lives, basically get out of their own way and give it a go. And today is going to be a really great subject because we'll be speaking about creativity at any stage in life. So my wonderful guest today, I have a bio which is really good. So this is Nancy Mills, and Nancy was 50 when she founded Spirited Women, which is a thriving women's empowerment community. And if you don't follow it, I definitely recommend you should. At the young age of 70, she became an energy artist. I'm really excited to find out more about this. And she hadn't held a paintbrush in 65 years. And Nancy has said that she's got quite the story to tell about how that happened. So I'm hoping that you're going to share that with everybody today. Her mission in life is to inspire women, and her philosophy is there is no age limit on self-expression. I love that. Love that. Welcome, Nancy from California.
Oh, thank you.
Yay!
Thank you so much. I really appreciate
So exciting, so exciting. So I want to dive straight into how come you didn't pick up a paintbrush until after 65 years? How did all of this happen?
Life is complicated, right? you know, we all have a story. And when I was very young, um, I was very creative. My mother was a neat freak. So if I was painting on the table, she would say, "You're making a mess." So one day I walked into my bedroom and I decided to paint the wall. And my mother walked in and she said, "It's either you in this house or me in this house." Can you believe that? So it completely shut me down, completely shut
Oh,
me down, just shut me down. Instead of saying, "I really think I should take you to art lessons," that was her response. And so I was very, very closed and very shut down and really repressed it, if you want to know the truth. And then years and years went by. I've always been creative, but I wasn't utilizing watercolors or painting as a modality. I mean, I was writing. I had a public relations firm. I did a lot of articles. I was a travel journalist. I just had a very interesting past. I wrote a play, had all these things go on in my life. And I started Spirited Woman when I was 50 because I always believed there needed to be something for women where there was a sport community. And at the time, my motto was, "You are enough as you are." And I'm a perfect example of somebody who didn't believe they were enough as they were. So
wow.
you always teach what you know, right? That's what you end
Yeah.
up teaching. So I'm out there saying, "You're enough as you are," probably as much for me as for the thousands of women who ended up following me. And I have a really good friend who's very intuitive. And this was right before my 70th birthday. And she lives in Northern California. And she came down, and she's very psychic, very intuitive. And we had coffee, and I said, Donna, what do you see for me? And she said, I see you painting. And I said, have you lost your mind? And she said, I have not lost my mind. You asked me, and I see you painting. And I thought, oh, that's really sort of fascinating. And then 2 weeks go by. This is a true story. 2 weeks go by, and I had been given a gift of a hand analysis reading, would you believe?
Right.
And for my birthday. And the hand analyst looked at my hand, and she said, you told me you were a woman's empowerment leader. And I said, well, I am. And she said, but you have the hands of a painter. All right. This is not the end. 2 weeks later, I'm supposed to go to a meeting. And I did. And I get there, and nobody had told me that it was canceled. So I got back in my car. This is LA. I'm driving down a street, and I see a sign in a window. Anyone can paint. And that was it. I smashed on my brakes. I went running into this place, and I said, I'm here. I'm here. And they probably thought I was nuts. I mean,
I was just thinking that.
You know, this is LA, so you can, you know, whatever. So, and anyhow, so there I am. I said, give me an easel or whatever, give me some paints. And I sat next to an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and they gave me acrylics. And I really didn't like acrylics. I could tell at the time that they were too heavy. But I thought, okay, I've got to listen to everybody because there's too many signs. And there were 3 signs. And I believe in 3s. You know, the trinity of things. So there I go, and I paint, and I come back, and I think, you know, okay, I don't know. And then I open up my email, and a mutual friend of ours, Whitney Freya, there's an email sitting there. It says, I'm starting a 21-day watercolor course.
Yes.
Now, what she didn't know, and what I left out of the story, is that I took myself to Michael's, which is a paint place here. And it's a huge place. And I walk in, and out of all these paints, what do I buy but watercolors and paper? And brushes. I didn't. And I come home to this email from Whitney 5 minutes after I walk in the door. So I immediately sign up, and that was it. That's when I got started. And now, 2 years later, I have painted over 400 paintings.
Wow. That's seriously impressive. 400 paintings. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
And,
what?
I'm standing here. I wanted to stand here because I finally created a gallery space in a studio space where I live. So, you know, one of my paintings is here, and more of my paintings are there, and, you know, I have things here. And I have to share this because this is important.
Yeah.
This is an important point. When we put out to the world who we are, when we accept it, I realized after 2 years, I did not have one of my paintings on the wall. I had none of my paintings. I decided, okay, I'll create this gallery studio. Within 24 hours, I get a call from a magazine wanting to do a story on me.
Wow.
And I'm sharing this not because I'm being, narcissistic or want to, let everybody know what's happening. I'm sharing it because I firmly believe when we step into who we are, as corny as it may sound, the universe comes calling. And that's what happens. And so, it's a very important thing for a woman of any age to acknowledge. A man, anyone, a woman or a man. Most of the people I deal with are women, but it's a very important message.
Yeah, I think of it a bit like GPS. So we decide that we want to go from A to B, and then we start putting in other coordinates like, oh, I don't really believe, or maybe I should do this instead, or I should be doing this for somebody else. And we unpick everything, and the journey just gets really, really long. And it's not until you just go, right, I'm just going to take the single direction of A to B, and then the universe seems to just go bang, bang, bang.
Yeah,
Suddenly you're there.
it's true.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. And I know it myself because I can't get in my own way. And it's part of what I teach other people is how to stop second guessing yourself and just enjoy the journey and not even worrying about the outcome, just enjoying it. And I think for me, that's empowering. And that exactly what you were talking about was when you made that decision, people were saying to you, you need to be, you're a creative and you need to be a painter. And it wasn't until you went to the studio and you sat down and said, right, I'm here to paint. Then all of a sudden, the universe probably went, thank goodness.
It was
Yeah.
just miraculous. And
Yeah.
then, here's the thing. As I started painting, I realized that I was an energy artist. Now, that was not on my agenda at all. I was a woman's, and am a woman's empowerment leader. And the reason why I painted 400 paintings is because when I sit down to paint or when I stand up to paint, I like to stand up a lot. Very often I'll dance while I paint. And then I'll say silly things like, yay, Nancy. But anyway, that's a whole other story. And I mean, if anybody had a recording of me, they'd probably, take the key and put me in someplace. But, anyhow, the reason why I painted so many paintings is because I feel like this urge. And then I put the watercolor paper in front of me, and then I have my paints. And then really I am told what colors to use. I hear things. I start painting. I have no plans whatsoever for my painting, none whatsoever. And then I finish and I go, my God, I painted that. I painted that. And then I see what's in the painting. I had no plans for the painting. I didn't know what I was going to paint. And in some of my paintings, angels show up, and birds will show up. And so often when people do watercolor work, they'll do a lot of sketching before, they'll plan out their work. I don't do that at all. And I specialize in vibrant colors, so those are very reflective of chakras. And it's not that I didn't know what a chakra was, but I never thought my life would take me into that world. And so then I started learning about chakras and then the different colors that they represent. And then I started getting messages. And one of the most fascinating things for me is that, at the ripe age of 71, I went out and bought a webcam. And I'm thinking, oh my God, okay, I think I'll be able to figure this out. I'm not exactly sure. But I got a webcam because I wanted to work with people around the world. So I set the webcam up, I'm pointing like over there. And then people will work with me in energy sessions. So I will be painting their energy while they're watching me. And messages come through me in my hand and my head. So, I'm a Pisces. I've always been very, very intuitive, but I didn't really know that I had this gift. And I've had remarkable experiences with people around the world. And I paint, I don't know if you can see it, but I paint 18 by 24 inch paintings when I work with people. And these paintings come out in a half an hour. you are an artist, so you know how
Mm-hmm.
long it takes to fill a
Takes
canvas.
a while.
You know, it takes a while. So this particular painting actually came out of me in 13 minutes. And the reason why I know that is because I decided to record myself while I was doing it. And
Wow.
it was finished in 13 minutes. It was just me. I wasn't working in a session with anybody. But that blew my mind. You know,
That's incredible.
how could I do this in 13 minutes?
Yeah.
And then these are the typical sizes I paint. They're usually 9 by 12. And
Yeah.
those are the ones that I do on a
Yeah.
daily basis.
So when it comes to you, is it something that you hear, or is it a knowing, or how does it
It's both.
manifest
It's
itself?
both. I definitely get messages as to what paint colors to use. I don't even know what colors I'm using.
Yeah.
And then I had another weird thing go on. You know, I started working with a first set of brushes, and those were okay. But then I started working with a second set of brushes, and those were okay. But then I got a brush. I got brushes that were like wings. I don't know if you can see,
Oh,
like
cool. I love that.
fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that just blew me away because
Yeah.
I really started painting in a very amazing way because they're like, I don't know, they're like angelic. I don't really know. And so I started getting, I got 3 of these in 3 different sizes. And
Mm.
they have really influenced how I paint and the colors that
Yeah.
I use. And so that's been really exciting. That's
Yeah.
been really
I
exciting.
think, yeah, one of the things I love about those brushes is that, unlike a normal single brush, if you like, it's sort of harder to control. And what you're trying to do is not control the outcome. So
Exactly.
using that kind of tool makes it even more exciting because you
Exactly.
really can't control it that much.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Honestly,
Mm.
I'm the opposite of what so many painters
Yeah.
try and achieve. I'm really the opposite of it, which is just really amazing. And to answer your question, there's a knowing, there's
Mm.
the stroke of the brushes, there's an awareness about what paint colors to use, but it's not really my awareness. And then there is sometimes, you know, I don't want to say voices, but I get these messages. And when I
Mm.
paint alone, as I said, I turn on music and I usually dance and I talk to myself. But when I do sessions with women in different parts of the world, what happens is that I really do feel their energy, and their energy really does come through the session. And then what starts to happen is that I
Mm.
paint really for them, and I can tell which colors and where they need certain colors in terms of being influenced in their life. I mean, literally, there are sometimes where there was one woman where I said, "You really need more yellow in your life. I mean,
Mm.
you really, really do." And it was so strong for me. And
Yeah.
I have taken these paintings and turned them into postcards, you know, my originals into postcards. So this same woman bought my postcards. And I really had forgotten my reading with her. And I grabbed my postcards out of my storage space, put it in the mail, pop it to her. And she says to me, "Did you realize you sent me a yellow water, watercolor brush
Yeah.
in the box?" And I said, "No, I completely forgot that all we talked about was yellow." And
Mm.
randomly, I picked a box, put it in an envelope, and she ended up getting the color that I told her she needed.
That's really incredible. I actually have a sort of a similar story in that I was coaching a lady. I have a course called Dream Big, Paint Big, And as part of that, we do coaching. And one of the things I'd said to her was, you need more play in your life. And I'd set her a challenge to go out and collect things that were yellow. Just that's what reminded me when you're talking. And she left the session and she'd gone straight from the session to a thrift store just to see if she could pick up some little things that were yellow, fun things, maybe kids' toys or whatever, just fun things to inspire her. And she'd got a few things, and then when she went to pay for it at the counter, the lady said, "Do you have a bag?" And she said, "No." And so she went under the counter and she got like a second-hand carry bag and handed it to her, and it was yellow, and on the front it said Play Store. And so she messaged me straight away going, "You're never going to believe." And I went, "Oh no, I do." It's amazing how it shows up.
I know.
Yeah. What would you say to people? I mean, I've come across a lot of people that say, "Oh, I'm not creative," or "I didn't go to art school and it's too late." What would you say to people, who sort of say that sort of thing?
Well, it's interesting. There are a couple of women who are really, really bright in the licensing world of art. One is Marie Brophy and another one is Ronnie Waller. They're really bright women. And I took a course from Marie, and Ronnie participated in one of the classes. And their point was very fascinating to me. Marie has a very successful husband who is an artist, and his brand is surf art. She mentioned, as did Ronnie, no one has ever asked them in their licensing deals where they went to school.
Wow.
Both of these women are extremely successful in the licensing space, which I can explain if you would like me to. And they never once, or their clients have never once been asked what school they went to. So, you have to pick your world. You really have to pick your world. And I guess my answer is, you can choose any world you want and be successful and bring out that creativity. I know for a fact that I am not going for the museums. I'm not. I would be delusional if I thought my work was going to go in museums.
Right.
I don't really see myself having a gallery show. Maybe when I'm 100, I don't know. But I really don't. That's sort of not my thing. But I do see my work as helping others through creativity. Bottom line. So that means if somebody comes to, "I want your art on my coffee cup," great. If I want your art on they want my art on their greeting cards, great. Or their puzzles, or their wine bottles, or their shoes, or their t-shirts. In other words, I have picked my space.
Yeah.
And to me, that is where I'm headed, because I do consider myself having the potential of having a brand because of how my art is and because of my story and my backstory. So that's where I choose to go. Okay, so to your audience, to the people who are listening to this, I chose that because I felt it would fit the late in life creativity and would take away any judgment. You can tell yourself any story you want. I can't do this. I'm not creative enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. You can tell yourself any story you want. But the bottom line is each one of us has a flame within us that is ready to be lit, if it isn't already lit. And it's free. There's no cost to it. And when you find that, you find your passion. And there's nothing else to be said.
Yeah. Yes, I completely agree with everything you said. I think the thing I love about your journey is that, um, first of all, you said that you may it may become your brand, or it's becoming your brand, but that's not why you started. It wasn't even to create a product, because I think a lot of people think that art has to be a product that someone wants to buy or you want to exhibit, and as you said, but you didn't create with that in mind. You created for that feeling that was coming through you, and that's what I believe, and that's what I teach is you follow that energy and then you find your space, and that's exactly what you've done.
Yeah, absolutely. That
Mm.
that has to be the starting point. When I started, I didn't think about anything. I really didn't think about anything. I just and I, as I said, I was just as amazed by my work. I was like amazed. This is coming out of me, so, and a lot was happening as this was happening. I was processing a lot because, did I have the greatest family? Not really. I mean, I told you a portion of the story. And so I was having to let go of all these tapes myself. I had to let go of all this stuff that was holding me back. Both of my parents, by the time I was 70, had passed. So the only voices I really had were my own. And when I started doing the painting, it was very therapeutic because I was releasing a lot of things that were holding me back. I didn't even remember that I painted when I was 5. I had completely blocked it out. I
Yeah.
completely blocked it out. And so, memories were coming back, things were coming back. So, and I decided, okay, this is this is fun. This is joy. This is tapping into a place I've never been to. And that,
Mm.
of course, is not to negate the fact that I had a thriving spirited woman business, but it it was different. It was a different because it was all mine. It was all within me. So it was very different. And then when COVID came, COVID, you know, just the thought of it is just heart wrenching.
Mm.
But it was a defining moment because when COVID came, my spirited woman business, as I knew it, really just flew out the door. I mean, it just flew out the door. I don't know where it went, but it flew out the door.
Mm.
And I had been
Excuse
appointed
me.
by the business for several years, but I had been ready to make a change and I didn't know where I was going to go. So when COVID happened, are you okay? When COVID happened, I was forced to put it aside. And that was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because it placed me in a place of, okay, I literally, there was something else that says, the way you were running your business, it's over. It's over. So then I went on to create a new website that reflects what I'm doing, and then et cetera, et cetera. So it's been a huge, I was forced to make a decision. And so I'm going for it. But this is a whole new career for me. It's a whole new career. And
Yeah.
so, you know,
And that's excuse the coughing. It's not COVID. It's such an incredible story that you're telling. I'm also wondering at the moment, what is it what's lighting you up right now? Now that you've got this change in direction, what's lighting you up right now?
well, a lot of things, really. as you alluded to earlier, we all take a journey. We all have a path. We're all, you know, with Spirited Woman, we're all on an adventure, right? So I'm on an adventure right now. I don't really know how it's all going to turn out. I mean, I just don't know. I dream of the fact that there will be different applications for my art. You know, that, you know, I call my art painted prayers because really they're missives of energy and love, primarily energy. And I see them as missives going out into the world that people catch. And when they have these missives in their home, whether it's a painting or a postcard, they have energy. And I've had many people say to me, I'm so happy to have your painting because it adds energy to my room, it adds energy to my life, it adds color, it gets me going. And so that's where I come from. So the wider application I can make of that, the happier I will be. You know, I have this fantasy, maybe it's not a fantasy, hopefully it's something I can turn into a reality, but I think about putting my art on banners and having women hold them up on posts and having an empowerment walk with energy.
Wow.
You know,
that would be amazing.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Amazing. I mean, we could do one in New Zealand, one in Los Angeles, you know, different parts where we're all carrying our art, but we're also empowering the women along the way. And, you know, I think about things like that and I think, oh, gosh, wouldn't that be great? You know, and, you know, then I think about traveling because a couple of years ago I went to Asheville right after I'd started painting, and that was huge. That was huge to invigorate me. So I'm thinking now about going back east and possibly going to the Hudson Valley. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking about it, where it's very artistic, going to New York and the Hudson Valley. And
nice.
You know, setting up some space there for a while and doing a little bit of a journey there. Because I find when you meet artistic or people who are very plugged into that, you get juiced up. And there are certain artistic communities in the United States, that being one of them. And interesting, someone today asked me, well, where do you sell your art? And what is so interesting to me anyway, is that I have sold my art to people in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, and of course other places, but those are the primary places. So people are relating to me from the East Coast.
Yeah. It's like, and I think that I love the fact that you're actually listening to those messages. I don't just mean their actual physical messages, but the messages around, you know, why is it that this particular area people are attracting me? Yeah. That's how I ended up in New Zealand, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I'm originally from the north of England. I came here on a 5-week holiday and didn't go back. And people often say to me, like, what were you running away from? And it actually wasn't I wasn't running away from anything. It was a calling. It was a knowing. I needed to be here. I didn't know anything about New Zealand. But just a knowing that I needed to be here. So I followed it. I was, at the time, I was actually working for Rolls-Royce and I had a really good job. And I packed it all in and came here on holiday and thought, I'll decide what I'm going to do afterwards, where I'm going to be. But I know I need to be here. And it turned into 2 months and then 3 or 4 months. And I remember calling my dad and saying, can you sell my car? Because my credit card, it was a holiday, so my credit card bill was doing this. And I met people who enabled me to stay, and things just sort of rolled on from there. And I think that calling that you're getting about maybe moving. There's
Moving,
definitely something in it.
not moving, but visiting.
Mm.
You know,
Oh yeah, yeah, cool. Mm.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ready for a move back there. I mean, I have to go and visit. And I'm from California, which means this is about the. I know this is my cold. This is for the coldest weather garment.
Yeah.
I don't have a coat. I don't have boots. I don't
Love
have
it.
gloves. So going to New York, I don't
Mm.
know about that, but I do know that there is a resonance, and also
Yeah.
the fall equinox is coming up, and
Mm.
I love to travel around that time. Love to travel around that time. So
Yeah. I've only once been to New York and it was winter. And I remember having to wear substantial amount of clothing and hat and gloves and boots. And yeah, my favorite memory of New York was actually going to the Museum of Modern Art. Absolutely incredible place. Just all of that
yes,
history and art in one place. And we didn't have enough time to look around. So at some point, I really do want to go back and have another look.
yeah.
But it's got it does have a buzz about it. It definitely has like a creative, energetic buzz about it.
Yeah, and another interesting thing is that I have a wonderful breathwork teacher who's also a Broadway entertainer, and several people from the Broadway community have purchased my art, interestingly enough.
Wow.
And that has been really thrilling to me as well. I mean, here I
Mm.
am in LA, and so when I go back, the theaters will be open again, and so that means a lot to me too. I mean, it just means a lot to me.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And what does it mean to you to call yourself an artist or to be an artist? What does that mean to you?
Well, it means that I'm definitely creative.
Yeah,
It means that I can communicate in ways other than words.
yeah,
It means I can connect with people in ways that is thrilling. I mean,
mhm,
it's thrilling to know that somebody can look at your art and and it makes them happy and they want to keep it in their house and they want to look at it. I mean, they have a part of you and you have a part of them.
yeah,
So it's really thrilling. And I think to be an artist, let's say I was married to an engineer. I'm not, but let's say I was. Most engineers go like this. They're engineers. That's their deal. Most artists go like this.
yeah,
No, okay, am I gonna go this way today, or am I gonna go that way today, or um, it's they're not planners, so to speak,
mm, mm,
or at least the ones that I have met, and they do things from a different space.
yeah. That's
Today I'm
really cool.
going to stay up for 24 hours.
Yeah,
Tomorrow I'm going to get a ticket to the moon.
yeah,
Artists have
yeah,
different ways of,
mm,
because there are other things that comes through an artist's personality that stimulates them other than just art.
mm. Interesting you mentioned like the different ways of being because I noticed especially through COVID that a lot of my sort of logical friends who would be in those jobs you've described really struggled with the change that COVID brought and the having to work from home and being on Zoom and all of this sort of stuff and the isolation. They found it really difficult. My artistic friends lapped it up. It's like, yeah, sure, I can do this. I can make the changes. I can do working from home. I'll be in my house all the time, but I can create and I can connect with people online, and they just had a whole different feel about them. It's like, well, it's an opportunity. I'm just going to see it as an opportunity. It's not a nice thing, but I'm going to make the most of it. Where's my logical friends? Oh my gosh, the mental trauma of having to not leave your house. And I was very happy being at home.
Yeah, I was too, because to your point, so much of what artists are in their head. So much of what singers are is in their head. Broadway entertainers, actors, actresses. We create this world in our head. And, you know, people say to me, well, if you go on a trip, you know, don't you want to go to, you know, a watercolor retreat or something like that? And I say, no, because that's not how I paint. I don't paint that way. Why would I want to go on a watercolor retreat? I could be sitting on a bench in a viewpoint that just thrills me so that I don't want to leave, and that's it. That's all I need.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I don't need anything else. So,
yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, you're right. And quite honestly, not being a very you know, social person in the sense that I was going out every night and, you know, going to events all the time, I would have people here. I'm not saying that I'm a homebody, but I was used to doing everything in my home. So when it happened, you're right, it just became an extension of who I am.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to ask as well is, have you noticed any health benefits around creativity? I have my own views, but I just want to ask you whether you've noticed anything.
Well, speaking about myself, I have a lot of anxiety. You know, that's one thing I will say. Because I have a very vivid imagination, I will tell you. You know, I have a cut, and then I will think about it, and all of it, you know, the finger's going to need to be removed. You know, I have a lot of, I just have that kind of person. I have a lot of anxiety. Call it angst, call it whatever you like, but that's what I have. But luckily, I always come out smelling like a rose.
Right.
So I don't know. I have a very youthful spirit. I'm very young at heart, so to speak. I don't think most people would view me as being 72 years old if they saw me. You know.
Gosh, no.
You know, I'm that kind of a person. So I have been very blessed with a lot of holistic things just helping me and helping my life flourish. And but I do have a lot of angst. But to your point, I take things creatively, and I just take things creatively. Does that make sense to you? What I'm saying?
Yeah. I was more probably the wanting the, I'll call sort of control freak, wanting to control all my situations. And I think that created its own angst for me. And creativity showed me, I usually say that what's in my head doesn't come out my fingers. So therefore, if I can't even control that, how can you control life? So what's the point? And so I actually had to unlearn control, if you like. And it actually made me, like my blood pressure has dropped because I had high blood pressure. And it was all around trying to control certain situations.
Yes.
And when I let go and just went, I'm going to let go of the outcome, my blood pressure came down.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So I think it's sort of similar what you're talking about. It just sort of helps you ride that sort of wave, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think I'm open to possibilities that a lot of other people aren't open to. For instance, if something is concerning me, I will go to a medical intuitive in addition to going to a traditional doctor, not in my mind having either one of them be better or worse than the other. To me, it's an opportunity to see different perspectives. And that's what I choose to do with my life. I want to keep it as open as possible.
Mm.
And particularly in regarding my health, particularly.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you think it is that keeps bringing you back to creating?
Well, without sounding, I guess, sarcastic, what's my choice? You know, it's in me. You know, it's in me.
Yeah.
It's in me. I'd be miserable. I'd be, and it's in me. And it's an adventure, and it's an outlet, and it's fun, and it.
Yeah. I think even in what you just said, there's a massive message for anyone that's denying their own creativity, is that it's an adventure and you're being curious and you're having fun and you're playing and all of that. Like you said, you don't have any option. That's who you are. But you've actually opened that door and allowed yourself to step into that. And some people are sort of just peeking around the corner of the door and a bit concerned that they have to be. You described the watercolor class before. A lot of people think you have to be traditional artists, if you like. And I think what you're describing is that joyous play and discovery and curiosity. That is what I believe creativity is. So I can see why you keep coming back and back and back to it. Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it is about being curious. It really is about being curious. And that is a personality characteristic of mine about a lot of things, not just art, but about a lot of things. I have one of these curious, if I want to learn about finance, well, then I'll read 20 books. In other words, I just have one of those minds. And
Yeah.
I really feel, as you said, play, fun, letting go of control. Let go, just let go. And let that inner voice of judgment be somebody else's. Give it to somebody else. And send it off and walk away and say, okay, I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nothing but advantage when you give something. Give something.
Yeah. One sort of final question I was going to ask you was, what tips would you have for new artists for people wanting to embark on some form of creativity?
Well, this is going to be interesting. Don't keep on pushing it off by taking classes to become an artist. Do not keep on pushing it off, taking classes, taking retreats, going to events to become an artist. I am here to tell you, you are an artist. Yeah. And there is nothing you can do that is wrong. Nothing. Nothing. Unless you lock somebody in a paint can and say, I hope you, never come out. There's nothing you can do wrong. And no art is bad. And no effort is wrong. You are. You are not becoming. You are. You can get yourself in a situation where you get educated with this person, take a class with this person, do this with this person, do that with this person, because really what you're saying to yourself is that I'm not enough. Yes, you can get certain benefits. And I'm not saying don't do certain things, but don't do them to become.
Yeah.
Do them because you are. And that would be my tip.
Yeah, actually, yeah, somebody in Nepal has just said, I needed that. You are not becoming, you are. So excellent message. But yes, I absolutely, completely agree with you. And I think there was another artist, and I can't remember who it was, who once, I was actually at a workshop, and what she said was that if you spend more time watching other people doing online courses, etc., than doing your own art, then you're not actually sort of growing, if you like, or allowing yourself to be the artist that you already are, because you're busy filling all your mind up with other people's ideas and stuff, but you've got your own ideas. So pick and choose the bits that are useful to you, but then put it aside and then just do your own thing and allow your own journey to unfold. So I think that was fabulous advice. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Oh, it's been an absolute joy to actually be able to spend this time with you. And how do people find you? How do people find you?
I have a website. It's called Spirited Woman. And there's all sorts of information on me. And I have followers on Instagram. And I'd love some of the people who have participated in this to follow me. That would be so great. It would be great.
Yeah.
I'm on Spirited Woman on Instagram, and then I have Facebook, and but all this information is on my website. But
on your website, cool.
I'm really looking forward to having people from Instagram get more involved with my art and everything. I mean, you know, I'm doing reels, I'm doing pictures, I'm doing videos, and come on. This is like, really? So.
Yep. Getting down with the technology. I love it. Yeah, that's fabulous. I'll post your links afterwards just so that they can find your website and your Instagram.
That'll be so great. And I wish you all the best, Angela. I really.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're one of a kind.
Oh, that's so lovely of you to say. Thank you very much. I just wanted to share the wonderful people that I know and I'm connected to with the other wonderful people that I know and I'm connected to, because everyone's got a story to tell and yours was really important. So thank you so much for being here today. We'll connect again, I'm sure.
Namaste.
Yeah. Much love. See you soon. Okay, bye.